What's up, everybody? It's Wyvern here. I'm coming to you today with some Rainbow Cup test footage. CalebPeng and I recently hit Ultra Friends, so we decided to do some test matches for his Rainbow Cup down in Atlanta, which at the time you're watching this was yesterday. He asked if I could wait until after his Rainbow Cup to upload it, so I didn't give any spoilers on his team, and I said, of course, that would be all right. So I'm uploading this video today, which is the day after his Rainbow Cup. So let's dive right into those matches and see how those went. So the first match, I ended up leading with Kingdra. It was my favorite lead in the Rainbow Cup, and here I see I'm in a negative matchup right away. I'm going to hang in here as long as I can just because I don't want to give up switch priority right away. So I'm going to build up some energy on the Kingdra and try and whittle down the health on the Fortress as much as I can. But then we're going to switch into Charizard, try and get a couple fire spins off him before he switches, and then he comes in with the Mag Cargo, and we see just how much damage that Rock Throw does to Charizard. It's very similar to how Confusion just deletes Toxicroak. It's not quite that powerful, but it definitely does a good amount of damage. And there, I went for Dragon Claw over Blast Burn, just because I wasn't sure how much Blast Burn would do, having it be a rock type. And then Dragon Claw, I thought I might be able to get to a second one. We weren't able to. Coming in with Kingdra, I realized that I'm at a disadvantage here because I don't have a direct counter from Mag Cargo. I do have Kingdra as my water type in this matchup, but I didn't buy Hydro Pump on it. Even if I had, he would have just shielded it. So I really don't have a counter for Kingdra at this point. Looking back on it, I should have gone on with Ivysaur, since Razor Leaf is going to deal neutral damage on the Rock Fire type Mag Cargo, and Rock Throw is not going to do that much damage on Ivysaur. So here it is going to come in and finish off Mag Cargo. But like I said, probably should have brought it in to begin with. And then we see the Fortress come back in. He already has Earthquake charged up, so we're going to have to go ahead and shield that. Ends up being a Rock Tomb, so he tried to shield bait us there. But I know that this is a losing matchup. Fortress is a fantastic counter for Venusaur, Ivysaur, whatever you got for Grass type. So I'm going to go for a Power Whip. It's not really going to deal that much damage, but he's going to shield it anyways. And that's pretty much going to be that match. So he took this one pretty easily. Wasn't really sure what to expect with the Mag Cargo, but that's really on me. I just made a bad lead, made a bad call not bringing a water type to this match. Let's dive on into the next one. Game 2, I'm going to lead with Fortress just because I realized that not having a Fire Fast move on any of his Pokemon, Fortress is going to be a pretty safe Pokemon to bring to this matchup. So right away, I see I'm not in the best matchup, but for the most part, it's fairly neutral. Heavy Slam would have been a good move to have in this scenario, but even had I bought that second move on Fortress, it probably would have been Earthquake. We're going to go ahead and go for the Rock Tomb here. Try and bait a shield out of him. Maybe he'll think it's a Heavy Slam or something, but he's not going to shield that. So while we are going to do some decent damage to the Azumarill, it's by no means super effective. We're going to let his through as well, just because he didn't shield ours. We're going to kind of play that game with him. And then we're going to hang in here as long as we can. I'm hoping at some point he'll switch, but Azumarill, I think, has the slight upper hand here, so it's going to go for that Ice Beam again. We'll let it through. And I definitely get into the red before he does. We're going to go for one more Rock Tomb. Hope to either deal some parting damage to Azumarill or get a shield out of him before Fortress is knocked out. So we do get that shield, and then he's going to finish off the Fortress with Bubble. So we know at this point he has some energy charged up. And at this point I realize I should have brought Ivysaur with me instead of Azumarill. But regardless, we're going to go for that mirror match. He's going to switch to Blossom, and we're going to try and switch right away. We don't get it the first time. Tapped in the wrong spot. You'll see that later in the video as well. I tap in the wrong spot trying to switch, but here we're going to shield just because I think it's a Dazzling Gleam. Ends up being a Leaf Blade, so we essentially just wasted a shield there. Going to go for Dragon Claw just because it's less energy, and I think we're going to be able to finish off the Blossom with Fire Spins outside of that. So charge up a bit more energy there on the end. I mean, didn't really have too much of a choice, but could have gone for the Dragon Claw. That would have been dumb, though. So seeing what he comes in with, I believe he's just waiting out that switch timer there. And I see that it's the Azumarill, so I'm going to shield, assuming it's a Hydro Pump. It is an Ice Beam, but that still would have done some pretty decent damage to us. And then we're going to go for the Blast Burn here. I think I tried to tap it, accidentally got one more Fire Spin in. So we're going to go for the Blast Burn, hoping he doesn't shield, but he does, which is unfortunate for us. Probably should have gone with the Dragon Claw first, but regardless, we're going to go for that now just because I'm not sure if I'd be able to get to another Blast Burn or not. So Dragon Claw not going to deal that much damage to Azumarill. It's a very tanky Pokemon, and it already resists it anyways. So it's just going to barely be hanging in there. but it does have enough energy charged up to hit my Azumarill with a quick play rough before it goes down. Then he's going to come in with his Fortress, and that's pretty much all she wrote. I'm down a lot of health. I'm down in the shield game. I do have some energy charged up, but a full health Fortress isn't a match for Azumarill at all. So he's just going to charge up. I believe he's going to get to Earthquake here, and that's just going to do it for this match. Yep, so that's going to finish off that one. Let's hop into Game 3, and we'll look at that final match with Caleb. In the final game, we're going to go with Azumarill as a lead. Looking back on it, I really don't know why. I was probably just overthinking things, maybe trying to get into that mirror match with his Azumarill. We end up getting into the reverse matchup last time. He led with Azumarill, I led with Fortress, so we see the opposite of that here. So I just have to think back to how that played out. So we're going to go for the Ice Beam right away. Hope to try and get a shield out of him early. We don't. I mean, it doesn't deal that much damage, so it's not that surprising. And here, we try and switch 3 or 4 times, and it just doesn't work. So he gets a lot of damage on the Azumarill. I was talking with him after he was real confused by that, but essentially what happened was I just got a new phone earlier that night. I got an iPhone 8. Having going from the 8 to the SE, it's like twice as big, so just learning to tap in the right spot is more difficult than it should be. We're going to charge up energy on the Blossom here, and we're going to shield as well, expecting a Dazzling Gleam. So he got 2 shields out of me with Leaf Blade. And here's where I make my biggest mistake of the match. I should have expected he'd bring his Charizard counter and Mag Cargo. I guess it just wasn't in my mind because he didn't use it last game. So all of this energy that we just charged up gets wasted because I wait to see what his Pokemon is. Once I see it's the Mag Cargo, I go for the Dragon Claw, but it's too late at that point, so we lost probably 2 Blastborns or 3 Dragon Claws worth of damage. And that's really what lost me this game here. It's just, I feel like I picked good Pokemon for this match. I just lost the head game. I lost the knowledge side of things. And unfortunately, all that damage the Blossom was able to do on Azumarill. We did have our counter for Mag Cargo that time. We just kind of screwed ourselves out of being able to deal damage to it. And here we see Razor Leaf doing some pretty decent damage to Mag Cargo. We are going to have to shield the Overheat. But we are able to, well, I thought we finished off the Mag Cargo, but in reality he just switched into Fortress, and we're into the same matchup as the first game here, where it's Fortress versus Ivysaur, and that's just not what you want. So he's going to finish it off with Earthquake and Bug Bite, so he's going to go 3-0 against me. So as you'll see from those battles, Caleb is a very smart and very competitive player. If you haven't checked out his channel, be sure to do that. It will be linked down in the description. Make sure you go over there and give him a sub. I look forward to my next battles against Caleb, but that's going to wrap it up for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for checking it out, and until next time, guys, I'm Wyvern.